Douche gets more than he wanted, complains, then less than he wanted. I've worked in bars for years and this has to be one of the best if yeah, moments of my time. I worked with this guy who was always on it. Super smart. Never lost for words, very funny and genuinely one of the most professional bartenders I've worked with. This was an exceptional night. We worked 2 to a station on really busy nights, like 3/4 deep kind of night, so I had a front row seat to this gem. Greasy douchebag is waiting in front of our station with his elbow on the bar not facing us. Getting a little annoyed that he is blocking people getting served, Sam taps him on the arm, "Hey, man. You want anything?" "In a second, mate." As he shoos him off and continues greasing on this drunk girl. Starting to change his attitude, Sam quips back, "You are blocking people from the bar, man. Shit or get off the pot." Oh. I start to slow down. Where's this going? Greasy douche face screws up and looks Sam up and down. "Give me a Coke," he barks with no manners. Sam whips a glass behind his back and catches it in his left hand, ice in the glass on the bar, and throws a straw in the air as he pours Coke from the soda gun. $2.50. Thanks, as Sam spins around and enters it into the till. Douche is staring at the drink. "What is this?" "A Coke. As you asked," Sam said with impatience and vex. "That is not what I asked for," he responded. "If I wanted ice, I would have asked for ice." Pushing the glass back at Sam. Sam picks up the glass with both hands and did something that I was not expecting. He apologized. "You are so right. I am so sorry. How stupid of me. Let me fix that for you." Sam grabs the soda gun, pours Coke all over the bar counter. The douche jerks his arm away, not because he notices it, but because his shirt getting wet. His anger, palpable. "If you wanted an effing glass, you would have asked for one." Sam spouts as he throws a straw in the puddle, turns his back, walks off and flips the bird. My hero. Don't want to listen to someone below your pay grade? Enjoy missing your promotion. This took place about 30 years ago, but I was just reminded of it while talking with some of the other grey hairs where I work. Dramatis personae. HH equals me. BTD equals big time designer. GGB equals good guy boss. I started with my company over 30 years ago. My original position was as a draftsman. I hand drew maps, diagrams, and engineering documents that were turned into blueprints for production. The general consensus was that draftsmen like me were lower than dirt. Most of us had vocational training but no college degrees. Our usual work process was that a customer came to a designer and asked for something to be built. The designer consulted with an engineer and then sketched out the design and sent it to a draftsman to have a set of construction blueprints produced. The completed prints were then mailed off to the head office in a different city for review and approval. Any design that failed the approval process got mailed back to the designer for rework and the process started all over again. Over the first few years on the job I continued my education. I took courses specific to our industry and took in-house classes to better master our company construction standards. I steadily gained the trust and respect of the engineers and designers that I worked with. That is, until the company hired Big Time Designer. Mr. Big Time Designer was young, he was well educated, and he was well connected to upper management. The first time one of his jobs hit my desk, I stopped and stared. There was a glaring flaw that violated industry and company standards. Rather than spend time drawing up prints that would be automatically rejected, I took the job package back to him and pointed out what would need to be fixed for approval. He angrily agreed and took back the job to fix the errors. I thought everything was great. Until I got the next job from Big Time. This job was also going to immediately fail the approval process, so I headed back to his end of the building for a chat. This time the Big Time Designer was not having it. HH, you are a lowly draftsman. I am a designer. I don't have to take instruction from you, he shouted. I want you to draw up exactly what I design and submit it that way. If I'm going to be corrected, it will be by someone above my pay grade and not below. Good guy boss, department head, heard the commotion from his office and came over to see what the yelling was about. The big-time designer explained that I was trying to correct his work and not just drawing up his jobs as designed. At this point I started to try to defend myself and explain that I was trying to save the work and time that a rejected design would cause, but the boss cut me off. With an evil twinkle in his eye, good guy boss said, "HH, you just do exactly as this designer requests. If he wants the head office to correct his work, then that is just fine." Cue the malicious compliance. From that point on, I did exactly as directed. I sent off flawed designs for approval. The process for each rejection took about 1 week round trip. Big-time designers' jobs began to fall farther and farther behind. Some of the jobs were rejected 3 or 4 times. I started getting calls from the head office. "Hey, HH, why are you sending us junk?" they asked. I explained the situation and the head office called Mr. Good Guy Boss. He confirmed that BTD was running his own show and only wanted feedback from people up the food chain and was rejecting input from lowly draftsmen regardless of their experience. The cycle continued for about 3 months. Right up until time for annual performance reviews. Mr. Big Time was denied for promotion to senior designer. Over the last quarter of the year his jobs had failed to meet customer and company deadlines. His file contained complaints from the head office for repeatedly submitting projects that did not only fail our own corporate standards, but didn't meet industry standards either. A few weeks after review time, the department head, good guy boss, paid a visit to my cubicle. He plopped an envelope on my drafting table with a thank you letter that was copied to my employee file. There was also a small cash bonus. He had been looking for a way to nail Mr. Big Time and take him down a peg. The big-time designer had powerful friends and our good guy boss was reluctant to try too hard to put him in his place. By obeying BTD's wishes, I had given the boss ammo needed to give him a legit bad review. TLDR: a designer gets mad when I show him flaws in his work. He insists that I forward his faulty plans to the head office for approval. His work is rejected repeatedly and he gets punished. I get thanked and handed an envelope of cash under the table. Edit to remove abbreviations in an attempt to fend off the mods. Sorry if I train wrecked it. Parent says it's not our business what her son does on the community garden, so we let him get up to his neck in shit. Literally. Happened just a couple of hours ago. This story is so fresh you can still smell it. On our community garden we get teams of kids from the local school come to help, and it's often the case that they turn up on a Saturday morning as well. They're almost entirely well behaved, which is a good job as there's not a lot we can do about bad behavior beyond a stern voice, although one time a lad kicked one of our rabbits so a girl brained him with a shovel. Rough but effective justice. There's this one lad who came for the first time last week, don't know him but we made him very welcome. He only lasted half an hour before storming off in tears after his third telling off for spinning round and round holding a tool and then letting it fly off at head height. This morning his mum, I assume, came with him. I saw him point out my friend and me, but he didn't ask to join in, so after shouting hello we let them be. After about 10 minutes he started wandering and my friend shouted to him, "Don't go round behind the greenhouse, mate. It's not safe round there." Well, his mum had obviously been waiting for this because she went 0 to 100 in 2 seconds flat, demanding to know, do we own this garden? And if not, what business is it of ours where her son goes? We explained we just want him to be safe and she replied that she's quite capable of taking care of that herself. Thank you. Fine. On you go. Off he went, exploring behind the greenhouse, which is not safe because it's the compost heap, which is very unstable, and the muck mound, which is a giant pile of horse manure we get delivered every autumn. By the spring the inside is all nice and rotted down, and the outside is hard, crusty, and less strong than you think. After a minute there was a crunch, a squeal. And I think we did very well to drag him out without saying "I told you so" or breaking into guffaws. He was absolutely black from chest height downwards, and although well-rotted manure doesn't smell really bad, it is very thick, and sticky, and slimy. His mum grabbed him without a word and they headed for the gate. He started bawling as soon as the surprise wore off. My friend said, would you like some bin bags to spread out in your car, and to her credit she did say thanks when he handed them over. I wonder if we'll see them again next week. Edit. To everyone saying we should have made a point of some kind, if you're mean to kids or they think you're making fun of them, they just don't come back. Kids, and adults, do stupid shit all the time. And you quickly get into the habit of just dusting them down and getting on with things. Don't get me wrong. We definitely laugh about it later, but how's a little knobhead like this going to learn, if he doesn't come back to the allotment and get his hands dirty?